give this thing a second here. All right, we should be live. Everybody ready? Give this thing a second here. Oh, I can hear myself on somebody's stream.
Yeah, mute the YouTube if you're watching the stream.
Okay. All right, I see us there on YouTube. We are good to go, y'all. Well, welcome. Glad that y'all were able to join us. Let's see here, I'll do the tile view. Glad that you guys were all able to join us. We've got an awesome guest with us tonight, Isaiah Jackson, author of Bitcoin and Black America. Thank you so much for taking the time and being here with us tonight, man.
Oh yeah, glad to be here. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, of course. So yeah, a little bit before we launch into everything, he's going to be talking about his book, and we'll have some questions. We'll take some questions from the chat as well. But before we do that, we want to tell you a little bit about who we are, who everybody else on the call is. You probably know Isaiah, but we've got myself, Matt Millen. We got Leon Gabon from Dallas, and Chill Breimer from Colorado Springs. Together, we're all working on this thing called the Open Economy Initiative, the Opei for short. And really the main mission is just to promote crypto commerce adoption through education. So we offer some courses, introductory beginner stuff to get people kind of in the game and up to a basic fundamental level of knowledge. And our end goal is to just see crypto commerce take over and offer, a real alternative to the current financial system that really, it isn't working how it's supposed to. And, we need another option. So that's who we are. Chill, I'll let you introduce yourself a little bit, and then we'll move on and turn it over to Isaiah.
Yeah, I'm Chill. I work with Matt and Leon. And yeah, we're just, I'm mostly interested in the regulatory side of things, and I've been supporting the blockchain legislation part of it. I like to nerd out and, research and report. And yeah, our mission is really to drive adoption and measurable adoption. And we're just excited to see all these people joining, and excited to have Isaiah here. He's an inspiration to me. So let's hear more about his book.
Yeah, for sure. So yeah, with that, Isaiah gave you a very brief intro, and I'm gonna turn it over to you and let you take it from here, man.
Oh yeah, thank you for that intro, Matt and Chill. And like I said, thank you all for having me on, and for everybody watching. My name is Isaiah Jackson, and like you said before, I'm the author of Bitcoin and Black America. I don't want to take too much of your time with presentations or trying to teach at you, but just wanted to run through some of the basic concepts in the book, and then from there we can have Q&A and discuss more. So let me share my screen here, and we can get started discussing it. And like I said, not going to take too much of your time, 10 minutes at the most, but just wanted to run through some of the things in the book. Bitcoin and Black America. This is a solution-based discussion. And this book was published last year, July 11th. And, since then, we've seen the growth of a lot of things in the Bitcoin industry as well as in Black America. So I think this is a great time to have this discussion. I have been a Bitcoin consultant and investor since 2013. I'm also the co-host of The Gentleman of Crypto and, of course, the author of Bitcoin and Black America. I wanted to start off just with a quick report that did come out this year from Coinbase back in February. It was a poll given to over 5,000 people in the US and the UK. And some of their findings were that the majority of Black Americans believe tech will have a positive impact on society. 1 in 3 Black Americans believe all ethnicities, races have equal access to the financial system, which is kind of bad because that means the other 2 in 3 do not. And Lastly, they came to the conclusion that Black Americans lead the charge when it comes to interest in understanding crypto. So not leading the charge as far as adoption, however, an interest, that is one of the biggest things in our community. So I am here to provide as much education as possible, which is why I wrote the book, Bitcoin in Black America. And it is 7 chapters, it's solution-based. I don't really believe in asking for too much. And as somebody who's been in the Black community, I believe we can achieve financial, generational wealth with Bitcoin long term. So I just want to go through some of the key the education and also sports and entertainment. So Bitcoin and Black Church, we'll start there. It is basically the financial epicenter for a lot of Black communities. Over 80% of Black Americans achieve some sort of religious service every week. And the Black Church has, if you go through most Black neighborhoods, they have churches up and down the street. So that is a place where a lot of people look to for advice about their finances and donate a lot of money there. So I think if Bitcoin was available with just a QR code, as you guys know, just a QR code, you could donate to these churches, and I believe own an asset that will, because of its scarcity, because of the demand later, will increase the value of the community around you. Also, because they have large facilities and a lot of them are empty and not used during the week, mining could be a possible solution, or at the very least, just running a full Bitcoin node. I believe that's very possible at a lot of these churches that don't operate throughout the week. As a store of value, I believe that if they have a 501c3, the ability to send donations to the Black Church, you have these platforms in place already. You have Give Bitcoin. You have a few other, charitable organizations that allow 501c3 organizations to accept Bitcoin for payment. So you already have the infrastructure in place. I believe the Black Church can benefit just from accepting Bitcoin for donations. So that's one of the solutions in the book. Next solution that talks about in the book talks about the education field. I am a former teacher. I taught high school when I was fresh out of college. And, one of the things that I realized was that the younger generation is extremely smart. They are in a brand new world and it's tech-based. So one of the things I came up with was a Bitcoin summer camp. And here in Charlotte, where I am currently, we are, beginning our Bitcoin summer camp for next year. And in Inglewood, California, also assisted with a bit. I believe that getting the information about Bitcoin to kids is very important, simply because I think we're building the foundation, but it's some 14-year-old kid that's going to basically take our lunch in the future and be able to create the things that we're talking about now. I also think that college blockchain groups are important. I've helped a few start, like North Carolina Central, at Winston-Salem State, and at my alma mater, I'm trying to get it started at NC State. Not sure if they have already, but I think that the education at the college level, not just, of course, Bitcoin, I would prefer, but any blockchain group that started just to get in the crypto industry is great. I believe one solution, once fees are sort of lowered, after speaking with companies like CoinFlip and others that have an ATM on campus, the ability for kids to transact, to purchase Bitcoin quickly could be a solution as well. And endowment funds, colleges who have endowment funds that are invested in cryptocurrency funds or in crypto directly in the future, such as Harvard, MIT, Stanford. I believe in the Black community. Historically Black colleges should look to put some of their endowment funds or portfolio in Bitcoin. So not only is this solution about learning about Bitcoin, or crypto, which Opei can actually be a part of, the Open Economy Initiative, they can be a part of that, but also using it while at these educational institutions. And last but not least, one sector of society that we as Black people already are very dominant in is sports. We have a big boycott going on right now due to social stuff. We've seen the numbers as far as how the major sports divvy out. So if you want to have an impact with that or with music, as you can see from the quote, rapper 50 Cent, he accepted Bitcoins for his album, earned 700, and those thousands at that time are worth well over 7 million, which is even worth more now. And what better things for young artists to not only get promotion because you accepted Bitcoin, but also, at some point more money. I believe that a blockchain music platform could be helpful because it puts dollars back into artists. And again, this was written towards my community, but this is for everybody, any community, anywhere who realizes that you should get more of your own money. I think Bitcoin and blockchain technology can help with that. Some of the athletes, if you know Russell Okung, who was formerly with the Chargers, now with the Carolina Panthers, also Spencer Dinwiddie, a few other athletes, they've all, in my opinion, heard about Bitcoin, but they were the ones who took the leap and actually asked for their salary in Bitcoin or established some sort of crypto initiative. So, the Sacramento Kings, they have a system called Mining for Good, where they use the energy of their stadium to mine cryptocurrency and donate it to local groups. So I think that this could be advantageous for the Black community to do something similar. And like I mentioned before, Spencer Dinwiddie, as an NBA player, he was the first to sell his shoes for crypto, the Kairos shoe. And I think that's just increasing the adoption. And I think in the Black community, if we start with the things that we already dominate, we can start to, get that Bitcoin adoption for the future. So again, didn't want to take too much of your time, just a quick run through of some of the solutions and some of the things that are in the book. So we can get into the Q&A session here and, discuss whatever we need to.
Awesome. Yeah, no, that stuff's fascinating. I know I saw, was it maybe 2018? I think Richard Sherman was on like the Crypto Insider, and he was like promoting Bitcoin, and he's got like a really funny clip on there, like, if you've lost money in real estate, if you've lost money in the stock market, like, buy Bitcoin. I thought that was awesome, and that was over two years ago. So to me, it feels like the awareness is there, and I don't know of any other athletes and other sports from different backgrounds that are asking for crypto. Their salary in crypto, are like putting that emphasis on it. So that's really interesting. It seems like they're kind of at the front of this thing, or at least positioning themselves to be, making sure they're benefiting from this emerging technology and money, whatever you want to describe it as, I guess.
And let me just say, a lot of athletes own Bitcoin. I know personally, they just won't say it in public. So do with that what you will. Do with that what you will.
Yeah. I mean, unfortunately, there's definitely some, when I'm talking to my parents or explaining it to somebody like an older generation, there's a bit of a negative connotation to it, just because, anybody can use it, can't be censored. So, yes, that can be used for good things and for, not being forced into a financial system that's not working for you. But also, if you're trying to do something illegal, Silk Road kind of comes to mind as the first thing everybody sort of talks about. That's a bit of a mark against it. But to me, that just proves the utility of it. Like, you can't stop it. It's cross-border, and it's going to be, it's here to stay.
Absolutely. Yeah, I agree with you there.
Well, cool. I
have two ideas. Bitcoin summer camp. Yes. College blockchain. I mean, those are really practical ideas that can be implemented, and I think that would really drive adoption. The only one thing I would add is gaming. I think that so many people are already in gaming, and they own, Xboxes and stuff, and that just really would facilitate the mainstream adoption.
Absolutely. And one thing I want to say, I guess I should bring it up now. I did write about gaming in the second edition of the book, which will be out this year. So I guess I can throw that out now. More solutions, just like I said, just building on the first edition. But yes, gaming is in the second edition for that reason. You're right. Kids understand digital money. They've used Fortnite bucks. They've used, NBA 2K money. They understand it at a base level. They may not be cryptographers. They may not be, deep into the tech game yet, but just as digital money, they do understand it. And as far as crypto goes, I think gaming is a huge sector that can be disrupted.
Yeah, you have a great analogy in the book. You don't have to understand how a engine works and your exhaust system and electrical system on your car. to drive your car. You can still get the full benefit out of the car. And to me, that's very applicable to crypto. You don't need to understand every single thing. If you want to, by all means, the resources are out there, but to reap the benefits from it and use it effectively, you know, it's actually not as steep of a learning curve, I think, as some people think.
Exactly. Yep. And that's all I wanted to convey. You don't have to be a rocket scientist. Just have to get involved. Yeah.
Yeah. And that's I mean, that's what we're all about. I think why we were so excited to have you on here is, you know, everybody's trying to move in this direction of building this new economy that works a lot more equitably. I mean, obviously your focus is on the Black community. And you know what, I guess the thing that pops into my mind is you said you've been in space maybe like 2014. From 2014 to 2020, what like differences and changes have you kind of been most excited to see, or that maybe like surprised you?
Well, one of the biggest things I've seen is that along the way, the doubt that came with Bitcoin up until about 2016 was sort of relevant. I mean, people didn't have onboarding like they do now. You can't just buy it on Cash App or buy it on your phone like now. People didn't see a use case. A lot of people, like now, we have, you know, sort of an economic shakeup, and people starting to say, hey, we might need a second option. So Bitcoin makes more sense. It didn't make sense when the economy is going just fine. You know what I mean? So from that point to now, one of the biggest things I've seen is the change in the combativeness to Bitcoin. I think everybody agrees Bitcoin is valuable at this point, and crypto as well. They just don't know what to do now. So I think that's sort of the change. And since I've been educating, I'm like, perfect. So now we're over the hunch of convincing people. I mean, crypto has succeeded to this point. So I think that's been the change. And now it's just education, just teaching people at a base level. And that's why you guys do what you do, and me as well.
Awesome. Yeah, I mean, more in that kind of education vein. I mean, you've obviously highlighted, you know, what you want to see happen. Is there anything that's kind of maybe just coming to fruition, or that you know, we might be hearing about soon, or something that you know, what's the latest, I guess, in that area where what you're seeing?
In the Black community specifically, one of the things that I've seen are a lot more people, in lieu of the recent protests, have started learning about Bitcoin, simply because there were about half a dozen people who had up signs at protests with Bitcoin and Black America on it. Because in my opinion, you know, social unrest is one thing, but you need an economic solution. And when you think about it, the Federal Reserve affects us all. And all I'm trying to do is make sure that people in my community realize that the real enemy, so to say, is who controls the money. And because of the inflation that's been in there, the redlining that's happening as a result of banks, that's what we should be really, really pushing against at the end of the day. Of course, we, you know, have our stuff to deal with, but I think one of the biggest things I'm seeing is that Bitcoin is starting to be the plan B that most of us have been discussing for years. And I think now that people see that, it's like insurance against the government, because some people say, hey, what's the thing you say to people to get them to learn about Bitcoin? I say, do you trust your government? And it's like 99% no. Black, white, doesn't matter. It doesn't matter about race. It's just like no. And it's like, oh, okay, well, then you can go into Bitcoin from there. I don't think anybody really does. So do you trust humans or math? And I think that's been the change that I've seen. And I think people are starting to adopt it more as onboarding has increased.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. And the ease of use, or the user experience. I mean, I've only really been in it since about 2016, but even that period has come leaps and bounds from when I, initially got into it. I think I was doing local Bitcoins, and I, had a wad of cash. I was driving across town to this bank, and the bank sent it to this guy's account in Texas. And I had to take a picture with my face and the receipt, and it all felt like a little sketchy. I mean, Corinne's looking at me like, what are you doing? And but that was how I initially got into it, and then here we are now. But now you can just load up Coinbase or Cash App, literally do a little KYC, and you're off and running. So that's a big part of the adoption, is the ease of onboarding, for sure.
Absolutely.
For sure. Well, yeah. Let's see here. Let me look at my notes here. So I've got, okay, yeah. So KRBE Digital Assets Group. That's your company. How did that come about, and what is that, the consulting side, or I just was interested to learn a little bit more about that.
Yep, that's the consulting and educational side, and with that company, before this book that I put out, through that company, put out 3 Bitcoin starter guides. We also have produced almost 600 episodes of the Gentlemen of Crypto, which is a daily news show, and we do it live simply because we can answer questions on the fly and give news about the industry. So we've seen the industry grow from 2017 so much. And KRB, like you said before, we've been around since 2016, consulting different companies as well as people. Usually it's individual people, simply because education needs to be there and people need someone they can trust. So that's why we started the live show. That's why we've been continually doing it, because in this industry, we all know, I mean, the scams run rampant. I know in the Black community, that's what stopped a lot of people from getting into it. I mean, OneCoin, and then of course BitConnect, and then it was a USI Tech. So what we really started out doing was just showing people Bitcoin wasn't a scam. These third parties are. So once we got that going out the way, KRB really took off from there. And to this day, we still consult individuals, but we're mostly focused on the show Gentlemen of Crypto, simply because that's the best way to get information out quickly to people.
Gotcha.
Yeah, so I have a question. So I'm wondering if you're seeing this in the Black community as well. Like for me, learning about Bitcoin kind of was like an education of money and finance.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was a person who lived paycheck to paycheck, but then learning about Bitcoin in 2013 as well. I started learning all the money verbs, right? Savings and
Mm-hmm.
investing and trading, and then now it's like I'm knowing more about macroeconomics and how the long-term debt cycle works, and so much more education through just learning about Bitcoin than that was in school.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And that's been my argument to colleges, that I've kind of floated the idea of having a Bitcoin course because it's interdisciplinary. Like you said, when you started, I was a tech guy. I did IT. I was had a web development, before this. So the finance side from 2013 to now, I had to either teach myself or learn from people smarter than me. So not only finance, but you learn about history. You learn about Austrian economics, like you said. I never thought I would ever read a book about cryptography ever in my life. Like, it didn't even occur into but you're right. When you get into Bitcoin, you go down this rabbit hole where you start to actually, for one, you question everything. So you start to research more. And I think you're right. Bitcoin did the same for me. And anybody I've introduced to it, they'll come back to me later telling me about some aspect of Bitcoin that got them involved in something else as well. So you're right. I think Bitcoin does that, definitely, because we've never seen this before. I made this analogy to my friend the other day. I said, hey, the Federal Reserve's been around since 1913. Anybody over the age of or under the age of 107 has never seen a different financial system. So nobody can explain what's going forward. All you have is, sort of the tools we have at hand to go forward, because this is brand new and it's exciting to see.
And it looked like we had a question in the chat there from Tommy, and he said, "What do you think will happen to BTC and Ethereum when Congress someday approves a U.S. Fed-controlled digital dollar?" Would love to hear your thoughts. And I know Chill has some thoughts on that, but Isaiah, I want to give you the right of first refusal for that one.
I think directly affect Bitcoin. I don't think it will. I actually think it'll indirectly affect it positively, because if you can just print money, which is not literally physically money, it's just digital putting zeros, I think people are going to see how much tracking goes into it, how much people are blocked, and then they'll say, hey, I want something censorship resistant, use that printed money to increase the demand of Bitcoin, while of course the supply is still scarce. So I think that's what we'll ultimately see. However, I do think there will be some sort of pushback, only because it's interesting enough. The only day that our president tweeted about Bitcoin was the day my book was released. So I think literally July 11, 2000, I write about it in the second edition. That's the only time he tweeted about it, before or after. So they know the impact Bitcoin can have. I just think they're trying to control it, because if it was going to be shut down, it would have happened already. So I just think this digital dollar coming would just increase demand once people see a better money, which I think Bitcoin is.
Chill, did you have anything you wanted to add to that, Chill? Or
Yeah, I think FedNow is not directly competing with Bitcoin. FedNow is going to make local commercial banks obsolete because it's going to be a central bank and only a central bank. And they put it in the oven now. It's coming out in 2023. And I think right now they're keeping the dollar on a life support. And what I'm seeing is that all this stimulus is to just keep the dollar until it's baked and it's ready, and there's something to replace the US dollar. And I see a window of opportunity, because I think if anything happens between now and 2023, for Bitcoin to really take off, this is the time. Like, once it comes out, they have the best network to push FedNow, and so I hate to say it, but I think the mainstream is still kind of swayed by the media.
Absolutely, I agree with you there. Yeah, I agree with you there. A lot of people, they, even if they do like Bitcoin or they've heard of it, they still listen to the media full stack. They don't question it to any extent. And even if you give hard proof, they'll say, well, I saw on TV that, and it's like, no, that doesn't, who cares? And I sort of make the analogy, they do the same thing with Black people. They misrepresent us all the time in media. So for my community, it's like, it should be easy. Just think about anytime they say something about Bitcoin, it's probably the opposite. So yes, I think the media has done a good job of keeping people at bay, because I always tell people, why would they give you the keys to your freedom? Why would they tell you, at most they'll tell you it's an investment, but they won't go deep into it. But yeah, I'm with you there, and I think the media has suppressed it. But at some point the bubble's going to burst, and it's just, I think we started to see signs, like people woke up and one day, what was it, last week, Bank of America's accounts had like $0 in there for a lot of people. And it was a technical glitch, but that could just happen. Like, well, they kind of kept it under wraps. It wasn't big in the media because, again, the media controls it, but that happened last week. And these things that occur, I think, will wake people up to the point where media, they won't listen to it as much in the next couple of years. Okay. All right. Yeah. I mean, I'm with you there on the media perspective and the spin and all that. It's yeah. Fake news is real. But, that's a great quote. But yeah, so I just, for everybody in the chat who maybe might not know what we're talking about, we say like FedCoin, and Chill, please hop in here and correct me if I'm wrong. But basically the federal government is looking into making a digital currency of their own. I mean, the dollar is still really, it's digital at this point, but I believe they're going to anchor that to a blockchain. And then they're going to have, ultimate transparency into every little transaction that you do, even more so than they do now. And this is slated to come out in 2023. And there's a lot of people like, is Bitcoin die if the U.S. government makes their own virtual blockchain anchored cryptocurrency? Because that's a little similar to Bitcoin. The answer is, well, no, because they're just going to do the same thing and print money out of thin air, whereas Bitcoin has the fixed supply, decentralized, supported by a global network of people running these nodes and mining. So yeah, just to put that in a little context for people who maybe aren't familiar. Looks like we've got another question from the chat here. Where did I see it here? Okay, Justin, do you recommend building a savings with Bitcoin versus a regular savings account? I guess that's coming from Kelly. I know them, so that's coming from his wife Kelly. Yes. So as far as the savings account, I've been using Bitcoin as a savings account for the last 7 years, and there's been no return even close. And by savings account, what I mean is dollar cost averaging. I don't mean I took every dollar I ever had and bought Bitcoin. So things that I didn't necessarily need, like eating out, I would dollar cost average, which means every 2 weeks I would buy $50 to $100 worth of Bitcoin, starting way back in 2013. And in my opinion, that's the best strategy for retail investors or people getting into Bitcoin, because most people aren't traders. 90% of traders are going to fail. So you don't need to buy Bitcoin and try and play, you know, the buy it at its lowest point, sell it as high. You probably won't do that. But dollar cost averaging and using it as a savings account is, in my opinion, will give you the best returns long term. And as long as you keep it consistent, I just think over time, your savings account shouldn't be touched anyway. So it's a long term investment.
Cool. Right on. Yeah, look, the chat's got some great questions here. So let me make sure I'm not missing anybody. Daniel Durham, how do you think the concept of tokenization can help with regard to building wealth in our communities? I know, yeah. Oh, sorry.
So,
go for it.
Yeah, so tokenization, for example, STOs, which were introduced a couple years ago. I think what it does with regulatory bodies is it allows everyday people, because even accredited investors definition was changed by the SEC recently. It allows more people to enter into the investment field. And I think with tokenization, as you saw with the ICO boom, the ease of being able to put in a public address to send money to an address and to receive those tokens was very simple. I think the process was great. A lot of the companies were scammy, but the process was great. And I think with tokenization of not only investments, but of maybe real estate or other sectors, what you'll start to see is quicker settlement times, and as well as that, from a technical standpoint, the ability to have more people involved because you don't have as much riffraff in between. And I think the reason I brought up real estate is I used to do IT at a real estate law firm. The process of buying and selling a house is awful. I mean, you have to show up at the office, get a paper check, and then go to the bank, and it's terrible. But the tokenization of assets, the ability to invest or to buy it instantly for a lower fee because there's not much that human interaction in between is great. And I just think it'll have to be developed more in the future, but I think it's great to start right now.
Right on. Yeah, great answer. Let's see here. So just from reading the book here, I wrote a few things down, and you talk about, you know, inventing a new form of currency is not free of challenges in there. So I guess my question would be, what do you see some of the hurdles that Bitcoin needs to overcome to really take it to that next level where it is actually this thing that we all are hoping it is and working towards or trying to manifest? Like, how do we get there from here?
Okay. Yep. So as a store of value, I think Bitcoin has proven itself. However, I think the number one topic I hear recently is privacy. I think there have been Bitcoin improvement proposals that have been floated out there to increase Bitcoin privacy. You have CoinJoin with Samurai Wallet. However, you have attack vectors. You have onboarding to where you have the KYC. When you send transactions, for example, through a CoinJoin, it may be from a blacklisted address, which chain analysis has, you know, their hand in that with being able to identify stuff on the blockchain. So I think privacy is very big as far as Bitcoin transactions. Of course, it's private by default because of the public address, but if it's tied in any way to you, which is pretty easy to find out, then privacy is gone. So I think people are worried about that. And I think some of the other challenges, not necessarily needed right now, because like I said, as a store of value, it's already proven it. But I think with Jack Mallers creating the Strike app with Lightning, the Lightning Network, smaller payments, the ability to have micro payments, I think is something that could solve a lot of problems in the future. So these are just a couple of things I think Bitcoin can work on as far as infrastructure, and as far as the community itself, I think we can work on from an adoption standpoint, making it plain speech. I think a lot of people get caught up in trying to sound smart and trying to impress each other. And I'm like, look, the circle jerk is over. All these people, OGs from Bitcoin and crypto back in the day, look, we had our fun. It was just us. We were hanging out in the hoodies in discreet places. It's over now. Everybody knows about it. So if you're going to put it out there, I think our community has to make it a point to make it plain for other people and not just cast them off as normies or no corners or whatever people call it on Twitter now, whatever the
Yeah, Isaiah, we got a couple of questions from Sasha. She asks, why do you think influential business owners, Jeff Bezos, Warren Buffett, Bill Gates, and others are against cryptocurrencies? That's question one. And then question two is, where do you recommend we buy Bitcoin today?
So Bezos, I'm not sure. Well, let me just start by saying, anytime somebody with that much money speaks out against Bitcoin, it's in their best interest to speak out against it. That is as plain as I can put it. I mean, if you go into Warren Buffett, most of his money is in banks. Why would he cheer on the competition? And then, of course, Bill Gates sort of did a 180. He did say Bitcoin is a tour de force, and he came back and said it wasn't. I don't know what he's doing there. Maybe he got a little tap on the shoulder that he needed to change it. But these people, this is what I mean by change in mindset. These are people that are great at what they do, and they should be followed in certain areas of the world. But when it comes to Bitcoin, they don't know what they're talking about. And that's the change that I think people don't understand, is that, yes, you, regular Joe Schmo, sitting at the computer late at night, probably know more about Bitcoin than these people. And you have the ability to make money from that and to increase your wealth without outside influence from these people. And I think the only reason they do it is for money reasons. They have their vested interests. And when they speak out against Bitcoin, it's free promotion. I mean, Jamie Dimon is another one. He spoke out against crypto while simultaneously having JP Morgan Ethereum meetup in San Francisco. I mean, it's a lie. So they either are speaking out against it for their vested interest, or they're just saying it because somebody told them to say it. A lot of them are puppets. And if you were to buy Bitcoin right now, depending on what you want to do, Cash App is probably the easiest because most people have it. I would say Swan Bitcoin is good for dollar cost averaging if you want to purchase from there. And if you want to buy cryptocurrencies in-app, Edge Wallet, BRD Wallet, there's a lot. But those are some of the ones that I use regularly.
Nice.
I agree. I agree with Isaiah on that. That we need to watch actions, just turn down the volume and watch what these people do instead of what they say.
Mm-hmm.
And what I would like to add for the Black communities and for all communities is that you need to consider that there's two main reasons of the underlying inequality we have. One is a natural reason. Entrepreneurs, obviously, they're good at what they're doing. They're gonna make more money, and that's a desired natural process, and we want that. The second reason, however, is that the banks and the government are in this alliance, and they basically feed back and forth into each other. You know, the government is able to allow the Federal Reserve to just print money out of thin air, and they basically get wealth out of nothing. And if you're not part of the party, you're never going to be part of the party. So Bitcoin gives you like a chance to participate in the system and have skin in the game and invest, even if you only got like $100 to invest.
Mm-hmm.
That's all I want to share.
Oh yeah. That's what I was saying before. I want equal opportunity, not necessarily equal outcome, just opportunity. Because at that point, it's on you. That just get rid of the barriers to entry, and then let people do what they do. And I think Bitcoin does that beautifully.
Yeah, right on, man. So I guess kind of taking it back to what we're talking about before, and like, you know, the bit of the circle jerkiness that the crypto community can descend into at times. How do you see kind of the broader crypto community's reception of like the Black community's interest in Bitcoins? To me, it feels like y'all are kind of pushing the Black athletes for sure, pushing the awareness ahead and like kind of normalizing it a little bit, like taking their, setting up businesses that earn crypto or taking their salary in it. Do you have an opinion on kind of the reception that they've received, or I'm interested to know your thoughts in that area?
Oh yeah. So we know, from an economic standpoint, in my opinion, athletes and entertainers shouldn't have the last word on how things should be. However, they do have a lot of influence, especially with kids, and them just saying it out loud, I think, has pushed adoption a lot further than it would have before. I think we have great economists, especially in the Black community, that have great ideas, and Bitcoin just hasn't been a part of what they've talked about. So when you have these athletes and entertainers say it, now all of a sudden you have people waking up and seeing, hey, there's this new money, there's this new digital currency or Bitcoin and crypto. And I think that at least gets them started with the research. And I think the reason why you started to see a lot of Black athletes and entertainers is because they do dominate NBA, NFL, some of the bigger sports. So most likely you're going to get them saying it out loud. And like I said before, a lot of athletes own Bitcoin and cryptocurrency, invested in these companies. They just will not say it out loud. So trust me, it's very prevalent. And I think the trickle down effect from it will hopefully occur sooner than later.
Yeah, the sooner the better.
Yeah.
Sure. All right, let's see. Check in on the chat there. I think we covered got most people taking care of the chat. So yeah, at the end of the book, you talk about blockchain. Is that?
Yes.
Can you? I mean, I don't really know anything about it, and I'd love to hear a little bit more about it.
Oh yeah, absolutely. So working on a project to invest in small businesses using Bitcoin, and one of the biggest aspects of it is we want the operations to be global. So you have the ability to invest in any company anywhere in the world using Bitcoin. Of course, the reason we're keeping it sort of on the low is one of the biggest aspects is regulation. Cost money or cost time. And right now, even though we have the money, it does take some time to get it going. But blockchain, the beta version and being able to test it will be out by the top of next year. And we're already testing it out now. So just creating a digital marketplace for small businesses, then from there have an investment platform, and then in the future, a blockchain syndicate to invest in the best businesses, and encouraging Black-owned businesses to join it so that you can get the best of both worlds. Not only can you get investment in Bitcoin, you can also accept it. You can also, pay for goods, and hopefully any small business that joins can reap the benefits of the platform.
Gotcha. Okay. And then, sorry, did you pump the website, or where can I check that out at? I'm sorry if I missed that.
Yeah, I'll say it again. I actually put it in the chat, but yes, Bitcoin and blackAmerica.com. You can visit there to get the original version, and then the second edition will be out soon. I'll be releasing the date in the next month or so. So yes, Bitcoin and blackAmerica.com, as well as on YouTube. Check out the Gentleman of Crypto. We have episode 600 coming soon. So yes, been going strong. So make sure you check us out. We come on at 1 p.m. Eastern, 10 a.m. Pacific.
Right on. Okay, I will definitely do that. Good stuff. Yeah, it's just really interesting. To me, I'm fascinated by everybody. It's very easy to get in on the crypto hype cycle when the price is running up and everybody's talking about it. But I get a lot of what do I want to say here? It's cool to see who's working and who's working hard and pushing the space forward when there's a down market and when the public spotlight isn't on the space. So yeah, man, that's awesome.
Bear market veteran.
Yeah. Well, yeah, that sorry, Chill.
I think Chill is
Chill had something. I think you're muted, Chill.
I have a question. How can we bring these summer camps to Colorado?
So I'm partnering with Innovative Learning here in Charlotte. We're actually building the new curriculum now, and because it will be virtual, the next one we're doing, we'll have a virtual one and then an in-person one. Basically, what we want to have is a template to provide to different blockchain groups and cities so that you can teach and use the same tools that we do. The last time we did it, we had visited Bitcoin ATMs, we had gaming, we had of course teaching about wallets, we had developers teach them about smart contracts. So all of those things will be coming just in virtual form. So if I can work with the group, send the template, we can go from there and hopefully get it spread, around the country.
Hopefully, yeah, that would be awesome. I would really like seeing, kids learn about investment, about money. I think homework should be make $100 and buy Bitcoin by Friday.
Yeah, exactly.
Next week,
some real
the same
world,
homework.
Yeah, exactly. It's some practical use.
See here, I got one question in the chat coming from Karen. What can we do to educate our community today? Like how can we, push forward adoption, I guess, basically?
The easiest thing, talk about it. Coming up, when I was first learning about Bitcoin, everywhere I visited, I would just throw it out there. Hey, do you accept Bitcoin? Of course it was no. Of course they were like, what are you talking about? But if enough people keep saying it over and over, at a certain point, business owners or Uber drivers who I try and tip in Bitcoin when I'm in LA, waitresses, waiters, just ask, do you accept Bitcoin? Or if you have a friend and you go buy his TV, be like, hey, do you accept Bitcoin instead? And if they have no clue what you're talking about, that gives you the entryway right there. So that's the best way to start. And then, of course, the second thing is to give them good resources. You can talk about it, but then when they ask the follow-up question, all right, well, what can I learn more? You want to give them good resources. I think we have a wealth of resources online now. But I do think some of the books that have come out, mine is okay, but some of the bigger books that have come out as well, the Little Bitcoin book, Bitcoin Standard, pointing them in that direction. Also websites, podcasts and webinars like you guys have, just pointing them in the direction of education from that point, and let them take off from there.
Right on. Awesome. Chill, did you get your, do you have another question, Chill, or am I just out of line here? Okay.
If I may, when is your new book coming out?
So I'm trying to keep it a surprise, but it will be out this year.
All right, no spoil. No.
Make sure you follow me on Twitter at BitcoinZay to see the announcement. So you'll see it.
Sounds good.
Yep.
All right, sounds good. All right, so let's see here. I'm gonna get my list out. Okay, so yeah, in the book you talk about 2014 being your most important year in Bitcoin, and I'm assuming that the hype cycle, the price up and down, had something to do with that. You mind explain or sharing a little bit more about why that was a pivotal year for you?
Oh yeah. So as luck would have it, I got into the Bitcoin market around October, a little bit before October 2000. Past $1,000 in December of that year or November, I can't remember. And when it first went past 1,000, the news I had heard, I didn't really do as much research as I should have. So I'm just thinking to myself, wow, I'm gonna be rich. I made a great investment. And as soon as it went up, it caved right back down within a matter of days. So one of the things I started learning about as far as investment is, for one, don't invest in anything you don't understand. For two, don't count your money before you have it. And three, Bitcoin is very different from anything I've ever experienced because the volatility was crazy. I had dabbled in stocks before, kind of bought a few that my uncle had told me about, but never really looked at charts. And here I was looking at charts all day and night from that point. So 2014, what happened was I was like, all right, the price, I believe in Bitcoin for the future, forget the price. And that introduces you to what I would say is your education part. And now I paid, like I always say, college tuition because you lose money in this market sometimes at the beginning, or if you buy at the highest height. So that was my college tuition. And then from that point, 2014, every day, I was going to work at the time. I was working from 7 to 5, coming home, and then working from 6 to 4 in the morning. Like I was doing that every day for about 2 years. And for most people, even my mom always says get some sleep. For me, it wasn't. I was like, I'm not going to sleep. This is too important, and that's why 2014 was so important. I got in with every group I could. I learned everything about financial system, charts, everything needed, mining, anything that involved Bitcoin. And then when the price started coming back in 2016, 2017. I kind of didn't even care. I was like, hey, I know the information I need to be successful in this industry. The value of it is just an afterthought. And I think once you get to that point, it's like a moment of zen. I always tell people, once you see the price exploding and you just kind of, okay, or the price going down and you're like, who cares? That is what 2014 did for me. It allowed me to learn that it's more than just the price. It's about technology and the change that we want to see going forward.
Yeah, I love it. That's I had a very similar journey. I'll bet a few years later, but yeah, I mean, you come for the investment and you stay for the tech and the community. It's kind of was my takeaway with that. And no, it's really cool to see someone. Bitcoin's only been around since 2009, 2010. So in my opinion, you're a seasoned Bitcoin veteran of, less than a decade, but, you've been in those early waves. So that's a great perspective. And, if you guys are listening to this, you're thinking about getting into it, definitely take heed of what Isaiah's sharing, because it happens to all of us. You see that amount go up, and you think the sky's the limit. I was walking around downtown Denver pointing at Wells Fargo and, Chase Bank, and telling my wife, all these buildings are going to be gone in a few years, and, we're going to have a completely new system of government. And I truly believed it, and I still believe it, but nothing happens without work, without putting in the work. It's not just you're not going to get handed the keys to the castle just because you showed up and asked for them. Generally, so yeah, that's a good one. Definitely want to emphasize that.
Absolutely, yep. Yeah, that's why I want people that got in at the end of 2017 that just keep on holding strong.
Yeah. Yep, this is a long-term play, and like you said, it's a hedge against the government. Do you trust the government? Do you trust the banks? If the answer is no, then you should probably own at least a little bit of Bitcoin, and that's a good message for sure. Let's see here. We got Sasha, and I think Sasha's question got all right. How can a person understand which coins are truly promising? Litecoin, Bitcoin, Ethereum. There's so much speculation. How do you rack and stack those? I'll offer just a quick thought on that, and then turn it over to anybody else that wants to add something on there. But how do you understand which coins are truly promising? It's really just research, and it's kind of initially it's some trial and error. Like, the space is really new. There's a lot of projects out there that promise the moon and, take your money and run. And so, it comes down to, it's like investing in anything else. You want to know if the fundamentals are sound. Can the people that are on this team, perform on what their vision is? Is their vision, correctly communicated? There's ways to kind of suss out whether these are legitimate or not. Regarding Bitcoin, it's the first one, it's the biggest one, it's the most well-known one. That's the main entry portal into the crypto sphere, if you want to call it that. It is through Bitcoin, and so I have a lot of faith in Bitcoin persisting, just because of the network effect and the first mover advantage. But when you get into the stuff after that, it's really, what are you looking for as an investor, and what is this project going to meet those standards or not? But you kind of got to figure that out for yourself a little bit. Anyway, my 2 cents.
Yeah. And I was gonna say, like I said before, with paying tuition, sometimes you got to pay tuition with some of these cryptos. You got to trial and error, and you may end up wrong with some, but don't dive all the way in. Just dip a toe and then see from there.
For sure. Here, Daniel had another question. Are there any blockchain technologies that you think are worth looking into, i.e. an ETF or a stock? I don't know if you want to like name specific things. That's not. I'll leave that up to you there. If we want to skip that, that's fine.
Read that first part again. I think you froze for me. You said what use cases for blockchain technology?
I guess, are there any blockchain technologies that you're kind of looking at or watching, I guess?
So recently I was introduced to digital IDs, which I've heard of before, but in the Black community, one of the things that they were showing was digital IDs and police accountability. So I'm pretty interested in that, just to see where that goes. As far as blockchain's use case for supply logistics, I'm interested to see how that is, because logistics right now is pretty messed up with people losing their jobs. We just haven't automated to the point where that can happen. So, I'm pretty interested in things of that nature. I'm always interested in the real estate portion, simply because I think that's a gigantic monster that is going to take decades maybe to change over. So I'm pretty interested in those blockchain projects, or those blockchain visions, I should say.
Cool. Right on. Yeah. Do you have something, Chill? Nope.
No, I agree. I mean, digital IDs is definitely something that a lot of states are working on. And there's different attempts. Some states, for example, try to use library identities on the blockchain, because libraries typically have your driver's license. So you could use that. We have supply chain, as you mentioned. I am seeing more and more so banks started using machine learning and AI for quicker approval for loans, and there's a lot of initiatives for like micro loans, which is also interesting.
Yep.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Definitely. Okay, well, I've got a question for you. So, like, let's say you've got a magic wand, and it's 5 years in the future. Like, what kind of, how do I say this? Like, what do you want to see within the Black community and their relationship with crypto? Like, what's the best case scenario in your opinion?
The best case scenario is that our institutions, such as churches, use it as a store of value. That historically Black colleges and universities have it as a part of their endowment funds, and that from a business standpoint and user standpoint, we have a circular economy that stretches internationally. And all of those things are doable because in smaller communities, it's already started. But to have it on a global scale, if I could wave a magic wand in 5 years, we will be there and using Bitcoin as leverage. If we don't want sort of the economic suppression we've seen before, just being synonymous with using Bitcoin as a weapon, being like, okay, well, we'll leave this this system the next time we were pushed back against economically. So that would be great to see in 5 years.
Awesome. Right on. Well, cool. So it's kind of switching gears here a little bit. We just a little backstory. So we've got a great friend from Indianapolis who's actually on her way out to LA, I think, and had a layover here in Denver tonight. She's came out with a book of poetry, and I wanted to give her just a minute or two to share a little bit about that and let y'all know what she's doing. So if I could just get 2 minutes of your time, I'm going to turn it over here to Caesar and let her tell y'all about what she's up to. So here, give me 1 sec. I'm going to give her the mic. Do it.
Hey, everyone out there. This is cool. I'm Caesar. It's nice to meet you all. I published a collection of poetry. I started a business, and it's called Pen Pusher LLC. It actually launches tomorrow, and that website is www.penpusher.com.co. Because I write from a woman's perspective, I feel like majority of my audience would be women, but generally anyone who does like poetry. I am heavily influenced by hip hop and Black authors, and it's very urban and very authentic. It's very raw. Besides the book, I did do it in audio, and then you can do it in a combination as well. And I think it's really neat because I put my blood, sweat, and tears into this. I've been writing since middle school, and this is like my debut to the world. And there's actually a piece about that in there as well. My Instagram for my page is the one and only Caesar, and I do spell Caesar CEASER. And again, that website is www.penpusher.com.co. And I appreciate the time and this opportunity. Thank you, guys.
Right on.
Oh, yeah, thank you.
Yeah, that was awesome.
That's good.
You bet. Cool. All right.
I'm Caesar.
All right. Cool. All right. There you go. Yeah, check her out. She's doing cool things, and she's definitely on the come up. So get in early, and y'all can be a hipster about it. Say you knew her back in the day before she was famous.
Oh yeah, trust me, I understand the blood, sweat, and tears part of writing a book.
Oh yeah. I haven't written one myself. I think you self-published, right?
Yep.
Yeah. So I didn't do that. I had a publisher, and I was working with 2 other people, and even that was a lot. So yeah, I mean, it's a dedication, discipline, time, and then you've got to be creative on top of that and meet deadlines. I mean, it's a whole. Yeah, it's not for everybody.
Absolutely.
So it's a pretty good one. Let's see here. So yeah, I mean, I think I covered most of the stuff that I wanted to talk about. Is there anything anybody else has that they're curious about? We got Isaiah here for a few more minutes at least, and want to make sure everybody's able to get their question answered here while he's kind enough to give his time to us. Give him a minute here. Let's see. Okay. I mean, anything else you wanna make sure we're aware of? I know we covered a lot of stuff here, but I mean, throw it back to you.
Yeah, just to finish up, just a reminder, bitcoinandblackamerica.com, Twitter @BitcoinZay, and also the YouTube channel, The Gentleman of Crypto. Just make sure, like we said, tune in for the 600 episode coming soon. The 2nd edition of Bitcoin and Black America will be out this year. Again, I'm dropping it like Beyonce. It's going to be a surprise. So make sure you follow on Twitter and on Instagram as well. So you can see when that book comes out. And yeah, that's all I have. And there is a webinar series attached to this book for people who get the hardcover version. So be on the lookout for those dates as well.
All right. We will definitely do that. We'll make sure we're sharing it with everybody. Also want to make you guys aware, if you're looking at getting into Bitcoin and crypto, the Opei has a course on Udemy. Right now it's on sale for $9.99. I think after tonight or in the next 6 hours, it'll probably go back to that full price, which is like over $90. If you want to pick it up for $10, shows you how to go through Cash App, set up a secure Proton Mail email, set up 2-factor authentication, get your KYC done on Cash App, purchase some Bitcoin, and actually move it into a Ledger hardware wallet. And we're looking at expanding out some of that, include Trezor and some other popular wallets. But as a starter place, it's like a 90-minute course. It's like $10 right now. So if you're interested in learning how to do that and get in the game, please check it out. And yeah, we're going to be doing more streams like this, and hope that you guys follow us. We'll be following Isaiah and supporting what you do for sure, man. And I really appreciate your time, and thank you for coming out here and talking with everybody.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me. And cheers again, man. Thank you.
All right.
Appreciate you, Chill. Thank you, Leon. I appreciate you, man.
Awesome.
Thank
awesome.
you, Isaiah.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely. Thank you.
All right.
Let's bring the open economy we all deserve.
Yeah. Amen. Amen. All right, y'all. We're doing cool things. Stay tuned in, and we will see you next time. And that's it for tonight. See ya.
Good one.